All right, welcome everybody to Genius or Insanity. My name is Maz. I'm here with Salil and Darian. We are bringing this show to you guys today to talk about NFTs. But before we do that, how are we doing, fellas?
Doing great.
Doing well.
Yeah. Super excited to start this new show. You know, the
Yeah, it's our
whole
first
new
time
NFT
doing
craze.
this.
Yeah.
First time doing this, so we're gonna really. We haven't practiced at all, so it's gonna be fun. But it's funny because we've all known each other for a while now, so it's cool to bring the show together. I'm excited to see the dynamic that happens in this episode.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
I think we should have a lot of fun because there's so much to talk about every week. Today we have the big topic, which is Moonbirds. We've pulled some data here. Salil, you want to take it away?
Let's do it. Yeah. So let's see. Moonbirds, right? So those who don't know, Moonbirds was this big drop that happened on Saturday. There's a whole story behind it. Before we get into the data,
Yes.
Moonbirds is by this organization company called Proof Collective, which is being run by Kevin Rose, Ryan Carson. It's basically as strong of a team as it gets.
Yeah, it's been crazy the last 5 days, and the lead up to Proof. There's just been so much hype. I don't even know if these guys expected it. But yeah, continuously, this is crazy, man.
Yeah, and they did it very differently, right? Like the minimum price, the mint price was 2.5 ETH. They tried to do a raffle to avoid gas wars, and I think this was done after the Wii Friends or the Wii Sports Pass dropped, where there was insane gas war a few weeks ago. So they tried to do a raffle, which also was controversial. From a Dutch auction, they went to raffles. But all said and done, they did a successful dropped at 2.5 ETH. And I'm going to show some numbers. But before we show numbers, Maz and I were chatting before. And Maz, what we expected the floor price to land at about 8 ETH, 10 ETH after the drop.
Yeah, here I want to just really quick talk about the whole Dutch auction and the raffle. There's been some controversy there, and I'm a big fan of the raffle system because if it was Dutch auction, we would have gassed it at 2.5, and I know people that would have bought 10, 15, 20, and it would have left a lot of people out. With the raffle, I know people that have barely gotten to NFTs. They had 2.5 ETH. They made the raffle. They sold it for profit, and now they have liquid in the game. So I thought that was cool, personally. What do you guys think about that? Because I know that's been a big topic I've seen on Twitter and other socials lately.
Yeah, I think it's great. Some of the data around this, there's over 6,000 unique holders, and most of the holders are holding, fewer than 10. There's the top holder holds about 120. That's been fluctuating a little bit. We've had some trading here, but I think to have that many, unique holders out of 10,000, have 6,500 or something unique holders is really special. More contributors to the community. As you mentioned, Maz, more new people getting in. This might be their first time holding an NFT. I think that's something real special.
Well, Salil, I think this was his first NFT purchase, right?
It was one of my first, yes. One of my first. My very first was Star Wolves. But yes, it was one of my early NFT. Obviously, the first one over 1 ETH.
That's amazing.
So I call it my beginner's luck. I went ahead and applied for the raffle, not knowing what's going to come out of it. They needed 3 things. You need to have a Discord account, you need to follow them on Twitter and have a Twitter account, and have 2.5 ETH when the raffle application was due. So I cobbled together 2.5 ETH and applied, and a week later I got an email saying, "Yep, you're in. You got the raffle." And I was excited. I won't lie. I was pretty excited. So that came on Friday, the 15th, April 15th, and 16th was when the minting started. And I think they had 8,875 people or Moonbirds that could be minted. 7,800 actually, 7,800. 2,000 they kept for the proof guys, and about 7,800 were for the public. And here's the interesting thing. So they were, 7,800 people who could mint one Moonbird. They also kept a wait list. They kept a wait list of 3,000 people who missed, like for people who actually won the raffle but forgot minting to come back and mint, for the wait list would come back and mint. And I think there were about 100 people, 90 or 100 people who won the raffle but never minted a Moonbird on the day. And I'm happy I'm not one of them, because it's probably pretty, like right now looking at the at the floor price, which is a crazy, crazy, crazy 33 ETH.
33.33 as of today. Wow, that is amazing.
As of today, which is $100,000. Can you imagine, guys?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's interesting to see. I think we're witnessing one of these, projects we're going to talk about for a long time, and it's had a rise so fast. I mean, it passed Mutant Ape Club, I think today. It's on a trajectory to pass, punks and apes now, right? That's the narrative that's being played. This is the next big project, and we look at it, for example, the data here, exactly perfect. Where we're at, and this is all-time volume we're looking at here.
This is all-time volume, top 10 all-time volume. I've removed two different pieces, right? So I've removed number 8, and I want to get your guesses. What do you think is the number 8 collection? And then I've removed the Moonbirds total volume to just have guesses from you guys to see what you think is the total volume it's done so far.
I think Moonbirds they're probably 98K in volume.
Okay.
Just going off the last time I checked, which was like, I don't know, it was 2 days ago, it was like around 80. And then the one that's missing there, that's a good question, dude. Oh yeah, Doodles.
Oh, that's right.
Doodles.
That's right.
Yeah, Doodles. I'm like, wait, there's one missing there. Darian, what do you think? Volume, man. What number are we at there?
Oh, I think I can't take this one because I just looked at the volume numbers. We're kind of up there, above the ranks of we've climbed the ranks already a little bit just in the last hour. So,
shoot.
Yeah, I think Salil, what are we sitting position number 7?
Last I saw was 94K. I don't know if it's gone beyond that. I'm sure it has. So 94K is what I saw, but I wouldn't be surprised by like end of this week, maybe next week, we are, obviously going past Cool Cats and potentially Doodles. Like with the pace it's climbing.
Yeah, I think we're at 107,000 each.
Wow.
All right, it's already past. Okay, so my numbers were off. And probably my numbers were only OpenSea numbers. You're probably looking at the entire market, including LooksRare and something else.
Yeah, and that's one thing to talk about is we have had quite a few sales on LooksRare, not as big as OpenSea, but I think it's somewhere in the like 14% range of total sales. So, for folks who are really big on looks, they have the token, they're staking that, this is good for you. And then I think another thing, to put in context here about whether, you and Maz talking about the sell price or being, people dumping them around 8, floor price being 8 ETH or 9 ETH or 10 ETH in that range. I think, I did have a buddy who sold at, I think 9 ETH. And that was just, the same day, I think he just flipped it. And for me, though, this is much longer term thinking. If you look at Proof Collective, some of those NFTs, those are like, 50 to 70 ETH NFTs. And so I think, there's much fewer of them. But that being said, this is a community that is, passionate about building new things and pushing the envelope long terms. I think this is something we see more like a Yuga Labs where they start to become a whole, shop. And there's multiple projects, multiple utilities. So I don't think this is, necessarily the end of it.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and fun fact, I actually bought around that price. So I didn't win the raffle, unfortunately. So I bought mine around 7 to 10 ETH, around those ranges. And the same reason for everything you just mentioned, Darian, was that I see this as a long-term goal. And we've seen what they've done with Proof. And in this space, if anyone's going to succeed, it's these guys, right? And I feel like we're seeing that now. People are realizing it. And which explains the lack of sell pressure, right? Because listings have gone down, I think, every day this week, which helps, the price go up, of course, with the volume and then the people that they're bringing into the space. I feel like it's a lot of new money, which I would love to look at the data later on. It just seemed like something I would like to bet on, and I want to be a part of that. So regardless of price action, short-term, long-term, it's been a crazy ride. So just looking at the numbers there, we see why it's at a 33.33 floor price.
Didn't you also have a Proof Collective, Matt, at some point?
I don't want to talk about that. I paper-handed that, man, for like 4 ETH. I don't even want to think about that anymore.
Dude, but you're back on Moonbirds.
Yeah. And again, I just think the NFT space as a whole is just so focused on flipping that you forget to look at who's running things. And we're so used to like non-effort, right? There's not a lot. some random dude can just come launch a project and it flips, right? There's just so much money that people are just so accustomed to, let's buy it, 5x, sell it. So definitely a learning experience. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen moving forward, right? If more people like Kevin Rose come into this space and try to, replicate his success, and seeing if the meta changes to more of a, that type of approach as opposed to just like a, anonymous account launching a PFP project. So, yeah.
Well, let's bring it to the important question. Maz, you bought in at 8 ETH or so. Now we're at 33. If someone's buying in now at this floor price, is this a genius move or is this insanity?
Oof, who wants to lead that? Who wants to start with that? I don't know, man. I got to think about that for a second.
Dude, I will go on a limb and say it's genius.
Why? You can't just say it's genius, man.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? So, okay, let's think about it. So these guys raised about 23,000 ETH on launch. On top of it, they have a secondary happening at 100,000 that we just saw. What's their secondary percentage? Is it 3? It's a 2.5, 5%?
5%, 5%.
5%. So they've almost all said and done. They have 30,000 ETH that they have basically taken from the market. That's about $100 million. They already have a bunch from Proof Collective. So, strong team. Kevin Rose, Ryan Carson, super strong team, along with, almost 100 million in funding. And then, to me, the third thing is I feel they haven't even started pushing the marketing envelope, right? Like, Jimmy Fallon just got a couple, I think, a day or so ago. I think as more celebs start getting it, as we start seeing merch in real world, people walking around with their Moonbird, hoodie, like the Bored Ape folks do, I think this thing is just gonna get more in the pop culture, and we start seeing more of it. So to me, going on a limb and calling it genius. If the floor price tanks, we can play this clip and roast me, but I'm calling it genius right now.
I think I'm going insanity. If we're thinking short term, and if we're thinking, if all you have is 40 ETH of liquid, you're insane for buying at this price. Sure. Now, if you're a multi-millionaire, you have a bunch of ETH. Sure, you can kind of take it average in, of course. How much of everything you mentioned is priced in, right? That's the thing, right? How much is being priced in ahead of time? Everyone's saying when nesting starts, price is going to fluctuate. There's going to be a supply shortage, which if everyone's going into that, thinking that if we don't get that reaction when there is the nesting, people may start, flooring the price. I mean, flooring their NFTs, which, will add some sell pressure. So I'm interested to see what happens when nesting goes. Long term, I do think this project can hit, Bored Ape levels. But at this price point, as of now, in less than 7 days, it's definitely insane unless you have infinite amount of ETH. Darian, what about you, man?
You're the tiebreaker.
I'm calling this insanity. That being said, I'm a big believer long term. Let me put in the high level context here. So we're at about $1 billion in market cap on this right now.
Wow.
So if you compare that to something like ApeCoin, which is the $4 to $6 billion range, depending on where the market sits, that is not insane. Over the long run, you look longer term, 3 to 5 years, and we start converging on an ApeCoin type of valuation. I see that totally realistic. That's not a huge return. You're making compound of 20 to 30%. I think that's, great in traditional markets, maybe not what some might expect in the crypto NFT markets. But in the short term, as Maz said, you're spending $100,000. And that means if you want to be even remotely diversified, you have to have a $10 million liquid net worth. That's not probably the case for these 6,500 people who are owning one right now. It might be a heavily concentrated position for them. And so we need to see what kind of new buyers move in the space. Obviously, if we get more Jimmy Fallons in here, as Salil mentioned, that might be good. But we're going to have some folks that have to exit because this is almost, 50, 75% of their net worth. And, it just doesn't make sense for them. So short term, definitely insanity. I hope we can be genius in the long term.
Agreed. Yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting case.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you saying, Salil?
So 99% of my NFT portfolio is just this one NFT, but I'm not flipping. So I'm calling it a genius because I actually believe long term the value is going to go up. and long term,
Yeah,
like there's multiple ways to add value. It's not that, oh, you have to sell this to actually get your
exactly.
value back through airdrops and coin drops and so on, right? Like, so this is an unexplored, uncharted territory, which we have to see what happens there. But yeah, I cannot afford another one. I wish I call it genius and I can, pull my credit card and buy one more at 33. That's just not going to happen. I
Yeah.
would, if I had that kind of money, I'll probably go buy a Tesla, because it's probably as expensive or more expensive than a Tesla Model S.
Yeah.
That is
That's
the
a good point.
comparable.
Yeah, that's wild. I do think though that Moonbirds is just so fast now. It's it's a status symbol now, right? If you have one of those, it's becoming that, and I think the celebs will come in just like Bored
Yeah,
Apes, and they're gonna want a Moonbird just for the simple fact that it's expensive, And one
exactly.
thing though that you mentioned, Salil, that I just want to touch on as well is the fact that Kevin Rose is fully aware of bringing value. We saw
Sure.
Bored Apes, right? You
Oh,
were
yeah.
better off holding a Bored Ape all of last year through the airdrops, the token, and everything that came with it. You probably would have made a lot more than if you sold it any time last year.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kevin Rose is fully aware of that, and he's also bringing that new part where it's the longer you stake, the more rewards you're going to get because you're more loyal, right? So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see those two things play out. But if the price does drop, I mean, it's going to get bought up quick, is my opinion. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
I think I agree with everything said. Maz, you made some great points there. Long term, being thoughtful about staking and nesting is a
Nesting, yeah.
great way to incentivize long term holders. We're gonna have to do an update on this project in future shows. Let's do a quick pivot to just two more topics. We'll sort of briefly drop here. Obviously, we have the NFT marketplace on Coinbase launching in beta. We probably, what are your thoughts? Anyone using that? Is this a bad experience? I know some chatter's been on Twitter, but do we need another marketplace, and do we want it to be controlled by a centralized exchange?
I was disappointed, man. I was completely
Yeah.
disappointed because they were supposed to launch December last year. They've
Yeah.
taken the last 3 or 4 months to supposedly, I don't know what they were doing. It made me more bullish on Looks Rare, if I'm being honest with you guys. I just
Interesting.
think they're out of touch with a lot of the things they came up with, and
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see OpenSea, Looks Rare, and Coinbase. It seems like they're the big three as of now.
Yeah.
Just kind of see where the markets or the new users decide to go. Now, my question to you guys is, the reason Coinbase was hyped is because they have such a big number of wallets that it was going to bring new people to the space. Do you guys still think we see that?
I think it's an interesting play. So to me, right, like as a business, I think there are three things a business can do, right? Or three things, three legs a business has. One is obviously the product, then it's the distribution, and then third is the business model. To me, product is average. I think a lot of us are talking about the product, and you need to have a
Yeah.
good product, right? Absolutely. I think the two things that Coinbase still has going for it is obviously distribution, that all these millions of wallets that they have, which they can activate. And then the second thing I feel I think they will innovate with the business model. And the reason I say that is I think there are two things that I'm curious to see what they do about. One is looking at, like, they're not doing the 2.5%, right? They're not taking any commission on these things. So I think there's a little bit of that, which any large transaction, right? 110 ETH, 15 ETH transaction, that's a bunch of change that you don't need to spend on. So that's number one. Number two, I think they've been experimenting with this. They had Coinbase One, where you pay, $30 or whatever, and you can get X number of trades every month, commission
Yeah.
baked in, right? I think, or even it was unlimited, maybe, I don't remember. But so I think they might start baking in some of the NFT transactions along with their regular trading. So I think there could be business model innovations. I'm not as bearish. I think product has been disappointing, like you guys said. But I think on the business model and distribution, I think I'm going to give Coinbase a fighting chance. And yeah, they might follow the Amazon example where they create a Prime membership where, you get one Prime membership and they keep on adding value. You can trade NFTs, you don't pay for it. You can trade, crypto, you don't pay for it, but you pay $30, $60, $100 a month. And that, I think, is very interesting for heavy traders, and they bring
Yeah.
them in. So let's see.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add on that. I think Salil's kind of spot on. One thing I'll say is I think this is maybe bearish mostly for OpenSea, because we do get that sort of dichotomy of having Looks Rare being community owned and community driven, and then centralized, entity as Coinbase. But Coinbase already has that distribution. And so I think that's really mostly competitive to OpenSea, who's the largest player. And so I think people are going to start to view it as more bifurcated, where it's you either have something like LooksRare, where it's community driven, or you have something centralized. If the centralized player becomes Coinbase, that's bearish for OpenSea. So that's my call on this, but we'll see how it plays out.
And you know what's funny? OpenSea was down most of the day yesterday when Coinbase launched. I thought that was hilarious.
Perfect timing for Coinbase for sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
Let's mention one more final thing. We have we have the other side metaverse. We have some ape land coming there. This is going to be this boosted the ApeCoin price by 30 to 50% depending on when you got in. What are your thoughts here? Is that something we should discuss in a future show? Is this interesting? I think we all probably own some ApeCoin. Not a huge position for me, but I believe in the ecosystem. How does this expand things, or why is this interesting?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so much speculation going around ApeCoin and the land, and I think supply is 200K, which seems to be, it's going to be an interesting effect on what it does to the market, right? Because the price that the price that they price it at, the supply, and how much ETH or ApeCoin, depending on how they do it, takes out of the market as well. I think everyone's waiting on that to see what happens. Personally, I'm going to take a less aggressive approach on this, and I'm going to wait and see how the market reacts, just because, I mean, damn, it just seems like so much supply, and just, leave it to Bored Apes. They've been doing an amazing job this last, year, it's barely been a year, of really maximizing their profits and taking, making money essentially. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to sit on the sideline. It's going to get crazy, I think. I mean, 200K supply. What the hell? What do you guys think?
I'm waiting to see too.
Yeah, I think.
So are you aping in or what? You're buying. You're going all in, selling your Moonbird and buying ApeCoin.
Dude, I need to move my Moonbird into a cold wallet before we post this show.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm gonna do. But I don't know, man. This is I'm not going all in. I have very few ApeCoin, but if it becomes an in-game currency, I think it's interesting, I guess. But still, like, I haven't seen anyone execute. Axie Infinity did somewhat, and right now, even Axie Infinity's users are on the lower end. They've lost that, the initial pull they had. So I think that's an uncharted territory. So Bored Apes actually did very well, almost, taking that pole position in the NFT. Everyone compares NFTs, and they use Bored Ape as a marker to talk about NFT and the whole ecosystem. Let's see if they can do it once again with an in-game, in-app currency. I don't know. Like there, I don't know. I don't think we have enough signals to call that yet.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to find out, right? I think it should happen. I think it's the Bored Ape anniversary in the next couple of days. So we're expecting some sort of announcements. Could just be a drop they drop on that day. So I think everyone's just ready for it.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll find out, huh?
We'll find out. Let's see what happens to ApeCoin.
We'll definitely have an update because I'm sure there'll be it'll be polarizing either way. So we'll bring you some updates next time. I think that's all we had for you folks today. So anything else, Salil, Maz? Are we going to call it a day?
I think this was great, man. I'm excited to keep doing these. The NFT space just moves so fast, right? That's the only thing that it moves so fast that all this data and information is useful. And I'm glad that we're doing this to have it as a log, for the future. So this is awesome, guys.
Super excited, man. And next week you're off to what, Hawaii?
Yeah. So next week I will be in Hawaii. I am doing a marathon on Sunday. I'm running a marathon for the first time. And I'll be there a couple of days after. So I may not make it next week, or I'll see if I can make it through my phone, or I don't know. But yeah, next week is Hawaii.
You may not make it, period. If
exactly. Exactly, man. I have no idea how I'm going to feel after.
Have you done a half or anything before?
Oh, yeah. No, we've done a half, and we've been training pretty well for it. So I'm excited.
Good. Well,
dude,
good luck.
I'm
I've done
excited
a half
for you.
and never again,
I know I hate running, dude. I'm only doing this because we signed up with some friends, but it sucks. But I'm glad to push myself through the challenge. And it's nice to get out because we've been on our desks all day, every day for NFTs and Web3 stuff. That it's nice to get out a little bit.
Well, congrats. Hopefully you make it back and safely, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, I'll report next time. All right, guys, this was great. Let's do it. Peace out.
Okay.